everyone, so in the previous video we fought a white lion in the first story at the beginning of our campaign and we won, so now we can move on to the settlement phase and creating our settlement. I'm mostly making this video so that you can use it as a quick reference when you want to start your own campaign and just follow along over the course of the next 10 minutes with all of the different steps because I'll read out everything you'll need. But I'm also going to talk about what we did in our particular campaign so that you have some examples to work with and so you can follow along with the story of this campaign. So we read through all of this at the end of the last video, and let's turn the page and create the new settlement. So I'm going to read out from the book. Don't worry if you can't see it too well, I'm just going to read it aloud. And my friend Bo in the background is going to do all of the setup. So you'll see her moving around as I'm reading stuff out. After they defeat the white lion, the survivors wander the darkness, drawn to a soft glow blooming on the horizon. In the first story settlement phase, players create the settlement that they will return to in every subsequent settlement phase. The steps of the settlement phase are outlined on the settlement board as a useful reminder. Number 1, setup. Place the settlement board in the play area along with the gear grids and survivor record sheets of the survivors that persevered through the first story. These are now the returning survivors. Use a new double-sided settlement record sheet to record information about your settlement. Start by naming your settlement. Number 2, survivors return. Notice below the settlement name that returning survivors gain +1 survival when the settlement is named. Award it to any returning survivors. So all 4 of our survivors survived the previous hunt, so they're all going to get +1 survival. And because my survivors, Zachary and Urza, and Bo's survivor, Alistair, used their survival, they'll get their 1 survival back. But because our survival limit on the record sheet is currently 1, Lucy won't be able to get any more survival because she's already at the survival limit. So, returning survivors heal any existing light and heavy injuries by erasing any filled boxes on their record sheets, but permanent injuries are not healed. So for us that means that Zachary, who took a bunch of damage in the previous round, will heal all of that damage, but he won't heal his dismembered leg that he got. He will get his bleeding token removed though. So next, add the names of the returning survivors to the population list on the settlement record sheet. Number 3, gain endeavours. Endeavours are the creative energy accumulated from experience. Each returning survivor generates 1 endeavour. Use endeavour tokens to track your endeavours. Any unspent endeavours are lost at the end of each settlement phase. Number 4, update the timeline. The extinguishing of a single lantern in the lantern horde happens regularly. This is how survivors track time and is called a lantern year. Update the lantern year on the settlement record sheet now by checking off the first lantern year on the timeline. Settlement event, the first day. Find the first day settlement event card and place it in the play area. First day determines the population of your settlement and is always played when a new settlement is created. Follow the rules and record the results on your settlement record sheet. During subsequent settlement phases, you'll draw random settlement events from the deck. So now we read from the first day settlement event, and it says, the survivors wander, drawn to a blooming light in the distance. They find the serene comfort of a towering pile of lanterns and a small collection of scared people. On a deep instinctual level, they know this area is safe and they make it their home. Roll 1d10 to determine your starting population and record the result on the back of the settlement record sheet. Bo's going to roll a dice to see how many survivors we get. Ooh. Okay, so we rolled a 3, which means we have 6 survivors, plus the returning survivors. Choose and record genders for unnamed survivors. You may name an unnamed survivor and create their survivor record sheet at any time during the settlement phase. So that means you don't have to actually make the record sheets for each survivor right as you're naming them. Then return to the settlement section of the first story and proceed to returning survivors. The first day settlement event card will not be used again during this campaign, so don't include it in your settlement event deck. After the first day settlement event, trigger the story event listed for this lantern year, returning survivors. Returning survivors gives survivors the language innovation, builds your settlement's innovation deck, and adds the lantern horde settlement location. Turn to it and follow its rules, then return here to complete the settlement phase. Returning survivors. Nominate a survivor to utter the first words. First words. The nominated survivor steps forward and gains 1 courage. So we're going to nominate Urza. They lead the other survivors in learning to speak to one another. They discuss their situation, realizing that they must hunt to live. Add the white lion to the quarry list on the settlement record sheet. Your settlement gains the language innovation. Search the innovation cards for language and place it face up in your play area and record it on your settlement sheet. Language is your first innovation, and it will spark the creation of the innovation deck. So this gives us an extra survival limit +1, bringing us up to survival limit 2. And it also gives us the encourage survival action, which lets us spend a survival to make a knocked down survivor stand up. Build the innovation deck. The innovation deck represents the potential cultural and technological growth of your settlement. It will grow throughout the campaign as you gain new innovation cards. Find the 6 innovation cards with language consequence listed under their title: ammonia, drums, hovel, inner lantern, paint, and symposium. Shuffle these 6 cards together to form your settlement's innovation deck and place it face down in the designated space on the settlement board. The innovation deck is persistent. Make sure to preserve the unique combination of cards in your deck between play sessions. Finished with the work, the settlement gathers around its glowing center. Glowing center. Armed with language, the nominated survivor aptly names the glowing center of their home the Lantern Horde. The settlement gains the Lantern Horde settlement location. Search the large settlement location cards for the Lantern Horde and place it face up in your play area. The Lantern Horde is the source of all innovations and further locations the settlement will develop. The nominated survivor sits in front of the Lantern Horde in awe and gains +1 understanding. They must skip the next hunt phase as they ponder the meaning of existence. Check off the skip hunt box on the survivor's record sheet. They cannot be selected as a departing survivor this phase. Return to the first story to complete the settlement phase. Number 5, update the death count. If any survivors perished in the first story, update the death count on the settlement record sheet by filling 1 unfilled box for each lost survivor. We didn't have any deaths, so we don't need to do that. Check milestones. The first time the death count is updated on the settlement record sheet, it triggers a milestone story event, Principal Death. The group will pick a principal and face the outcomes. Once you complete the story event, get the corresponding principal card and place it on the settlement board. Number 7, develop. During this step, the survivors spend their endeavours wherever endeavour marker is indicated to build, innovate, craft gear, and join activities. When the settlement starts out, they can spend their endeavours at the Lantern Horde to build new settlement locations. When an endeavour is spent, reduce the total number of endeavours by 1. If you can, spend 3 endeavours to build the Bonesmith, Organ Grinder, and Skinnery settlement locations. Get these large location cards from the box and place them below the settlement board where indicated. If the settlement has a remaining endeavour, the players choose how to spend it. We do, because we had all 4 of our survivors return. If they built an organ grinder, a survivor may participate in augury by spending 1 endeavour and following the rules. If this causes a new birth, use principal new life. They may also spend their remaining endeavour and 3 resources to innovate at the Lantern Horde. If they do, draw the top 2 cards of the innovation deck and choose 1 innovation to add to the settlement permanently. We decided to use augury, so that's rolling 1d10 and seeing whether we get the intimacy event, which can result in a new survivor being born. We only rolled a 4 though, which gives us +1 survival, which we gave to Lucy. Craft gear. New settlement locations allow survivors to spend their resources to craft gear. Gear is listed on each location along with its cost. When resources are spent to craft gear, archive the resources cards, return them to the box, and get the gear you crafted from the box. So we've got 2 organs, 2 hides, and 1 bone. We decided to make a rawhide headband and rawhide vest for 1 white fur each, a bone blade from the 1 bone that we got from the white lion, and a monster grease using 2 organs. Number 8, prepare departing survivors. If you plan to continue, choose a monster from the quarry list on the settlement record sheet and decide which survivors will set off to hunt it. So for us, it has to be a white lion since that's the only quarry we have, and we know that we can't take Urza because she's got skip next hunt ticked. After the first story, only the white lion is available. More monsters will be added to the quarry list through story events. Any eligible returning survivors may become departing survivors, or players may pull a new survivor from the settlement's population. To do this, get a new survivor record sheet and create a survivor, adding their name to the settlement's population list. Because Zachary lost a leg and because Urza can't hunt this time, I'm going to make 2 new survivor record sheets. Place any gear your settlement has acquired in departing survivors' gear grids and update each survivor's armor points at each location to reflect their gear. Award any bonuses from gear and innovations that affect departing survivors. Since we threw one of the founding stones, we decided to give Alistair the bone blade and the rawhide headband and vest. This meant that we were able to complete these 2 puzzle affinities and get +1 evasion going into the next hunt. Adding a monster grease as well meant that we could give him a further +1 evasion, meaning that he should be pretty good at avoiding hits. We gave him a new model that better reflected the gear that he had on. We updated the record sheet to reflect his evasion and also the armor that he gets from each piece of gear. Number 10, record and archive resources. Record any unspent resources and unworn gear in the settlement storage on the settlement record sheet, then archive those cards. These items may be retrieved from storage later. Number 11, the end of the beginning. Clean up the play area. If the play session is over, be sure to record the settlement's gear in the settlement storage before putting the game away. The players have completed the first story and are now ready to begin the campaign. So that brings us to the end of the settlement phase, and now we can proceed with the next hunt phase. I've already got the hunt phase video done and it should be uploaded by now, so go and have a look if you're interested. And I'm also working on a Butcher Showdown video that will be ready by next Friday. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.